Hello, everyone. Welcome to my fourth and I believe final country video presentation. Thank you for support along the way. I'd like to shout out Eric Simonson, my mom, and most obviously Professor Simba, my three biggest supporters along the way, especially making these YouTube videos. So I appreciate it, and let's make this last one a good one. So after watching the Coke ad, the kind of message I got from it was obviously it was meant to be a very funny ad. At least I thought so. I thought it was funny. I thought it had funny bits here and there, but it was obviously meant to be very funny. It also kind of shows how Coke brings everyone together. You know, you have the mom, the sister, the brother, and the pool guy all drinking Coke all at the same time. You know, it just shows how Coke can bring everyone together just and make family fun time or family fun. And then also, obviously, it just kind of is representing how refreshing Coke is. You know, they're on that hot day, and everyone's drinking a Coke. Everyone wants to bring the guy a Coke. Everyone's enjoying the Coke, and the Coke's just fantastic for a hot summer days. So I feel like that was kind of the three things that the ad really focused on. Yeah. As for appeal, I said it was obviously a very emotional appeal. It wasn't rational at all. You know, there was no mentions of like ingredients, price. You know, if this is a new product, kind of new product development, calories, none of that stuff. Instead, they kind of just used humor. Like I said earlier, I thought it was a funny ad, and they did use humor, which is emotionally appealing to most. It's just kind of things they showed throughout the ad. It was kind of things that just make the viewer feel good, almost. You know, there wasn't anything like sad about it. It was all kind of like, oh, happy, fun. So it was very emotional approach, that's for sure. And all right. For my country, they also played on the emotions by all the twists as well. You know, there's a twist in the middle with the brother looking, and then there was also obviously a twist at the end with the mom looking, and all that just goes and ties all into emotional. As for the country I chose Brazil. A couple fun facts: largest Japanese population outside of Japan. If you ever watch the World Baseball Classic, if you ever watch Team Brazil play, it's fairly obvious. Another one is that Coke was actually a major sponsor for the World Cup hosted in Brazil, so I just thought that was a cool kind of combination of things. And it's also the only nation to appear in every World Cup, which obviously is cool, and I like soccer. All right, now looking at if I were to use that ad, what kind of changes I'd use to it? To start, the scenery. I said we should keep like the general idea of the pool the same. Maybe not like the pool guy cleaning it, more or less like I said, like kind of like a neighborhood party, everyone getting together, everyone, having fun, all that kind of stuff. I want a bunch more people in the background, but obviously I think the commercial still should focus on those four key people that they showed in the original ad. And obviously it's gonna still be hot and sunny out since they're by pool and having fun, so it will be hot and sunny still. As for people, like I said earlier, keep the same idea for people, mom, sister, brother, maybe not a pool guy, but just like an attractive guy, obviously. But for the mom, brother, and sister, I think they should obviously be Brazilian, more or less. Maybe, I think they should all have some feature that kind of shows that they are related in some way. But I definitely think they should be Brazilian at this point. As for the guy, also not really too picky about it, just a Brazilian guy, with abs preferable, like in the ad. So, yeah. Then as for the people kind of around it, I think it should be a very diverse population. That's kind of something Brazil is very proud of. They're one of the most diverse countries in the world, and I think the people outside of like the extras should kind of represent that and show off that fun fact. As for music, I think obviously this music is very Italian, so I think we should change it to a more Brazilian music. Maybe something like bossa nova, which I'm just now learning about today. But apparently it's Brazilian. Apparently, like, everyone knows it. So it would be a good, like, middle ground for all kinds of groups. And, yeah. Also, change the tagline. Change, like, the speaking language. Change all the text. Everything in Portuguese, obviously. As for the plot, like I said, I think it should relatively stay the same. I think, the mom or the sister should be ogling and the brother, and they do like the same idea, and then the mom's all there. But like I said earlier, it's at a party, so the guy, instead of cleaning the pool, maybe he's just like out dancing on the dance floor, and it's a hot summer's day, so he's obviously hot and sweaty. He's dancing all alone, and he's just exhausted from it, so he needs a Coke. But I still think it should be the same kind of sister runs after her brother and sister fights, but the guy's just dancing instead. But the mom still does win in the end. All right. As for what environmental factors I looked at, so culturally, very family oriented, which is why I thought we should have stuck with the kind of framework of that family whole thing. They're very diverse. Like I said, one of the most diverse things, and I think that should definitely come in play with the extras or just the other people in the ad. It's kind of a stereotype, but the Brazilians do like music and carnival, stuff like that. So they're always partying. So that's why I kind of thought, kind of like a neighborhood party, a block party, whatever you want to call it, with everyone getting together is definitely something that would appeal to at least I think most Brazilians. They're big on collectivists. They want to see everyone succeed, and I think that's kind of you can't really show that in this kind of ad, but just everyone getting together, everyone having fun, everyone talking, no one left out. I think I think that it portrays Brazilian culture pretty well. And obviously they are very LGBTQ friendly, which is good for this ad because there is a guy kind of looking at the man as well. Then some Middle Eastern countries may not be the best idea. I don't think they'll accept it, but Brazil is very LGBT friendly. They're one of the most. They're just very accepting as a whole. I think about 80% of the population is accepting of LGBTQ people. So I feel like this is a good kind of place to do this ad, at least culturally. Now looking at the political and legal factors, same-sex marriage has been legal there since 2013, which is good, especially if you want to, with the brother and all that. They actually have very strong legal protection against advertising policy, which is something you have to kind of look at and be careful. They're very big on must be honest, must be social responsibility. You have a very high social responsibility. So I didn't want to alter the ad to kind of like show something that may not necessarily be true, but kind of be true. So I just kind of kept the same core and the same idea, and just really wanted to show off Coke, not necessarily talk about facts in this kind of ad. Something that I did kind of find was interesting. 1/3 of, I think, Brazil's Congress is a group called Evangelic. That it's a political party, I believe, or just like a way to look. And about 46% of what the Angelic Party proposed for like bills and stuff was anti-LGBTQ. So there is obviously still that part of the population that isn't necessarily super accepting of it. So that is something we have to look out at for this ad. But Brazil does have some of the strongest protection legally for gay people. Very strong protection for them. All right. Now for my media to distribute. The main one I said was TV. Specifically, it's a network called Globo Network, I believe. They get 100 million viewers every night. It's kind of the highest TV viewers in the country. It's just good primetime television. Great time to show off your ad, especially if you're Coke, you have a lot of money to get that time slot. So I feel like that was a good time to do it and kind of reach the most viewers. The only issue with that is I could see it reaching the wrong audience sometimes and maybe eventually, having some backlash for that. But I think for the most part, that'd be the strongest way to do it and get to the most population. The next one being TikTok. Brazil actually has the third largest TikTok market in the world, which is obviously a pro and something we want to capitalize on. And on stuff like this, this ad is obviously very humorful. and TikTok is kind of built for humor and stuff like that. So there's a good chance for them to for virality on TikTok, but the humor will definitely do well on an app like this. I know when I see TikToks by a company, I don't want to watch them if they're just informational. I kind of want to see them make a joke or something. And I think Coke does a good job in this ad, and I think it'll do well on TikTok as well. Finally, the last media I chose to distribute, YouTube. I feel like that's kind of like the big three right there. But YouTube per capita, Brazilians actually spend the most time on that website out of any country. Cool fun fact. Yeah, it's good for it's really good for specific targeting. So unlike the TV, which kind of just goes out to whoever wants to see it, YouTube, you can kind of toy with it a little more. You're not gonna advertise an LGBTQ ad to someone looking up, Evan Galesic or evangelic company or political videos. You're not going to give them an LGBTQ ad, but so you can kind of cut that population out and just have a much more targeted ad, which will hopefully successfully reach more people. All right, finally, looking at the pros and cons of pattern advertising, I think the most obvious pro is that it's great for your brand. People recognize your brand. It's easily recognizable. You have that consistency, which is always good, and it kind of just reinforces your brand identity. If you have something that does the same, Coke always does. Oh, it's a hot day. They're so refreshing. You look at the guy. When you have a hot day, you're gonna think about having a nice Coke. So that's really good. It's really good for brand identity. A con, it can feel boring, lame, bland if you see enough of it. Maybe not specifically like with a company because I feel like they'll change it up. But like if you have kind of what's it called? Like an industry doing the same kind of ad. If every beverage industry did like a guy gets hot, drinks a Coke, girl looks at him, if every country did something like that, it would get boring for everyone. Or if every brand did something like that, it would get boring for everyone. No one wants to see a bunch of that ads. They want to see creativity. So it's kind of something to look at if you're like copying someone or like, keeping the same idea. But yeah, I believe that is it for everything. Thank you, everyone.